you guys, my name is Savannah and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are going to be talking about the 12 books that I read in September. But before we get into that, I have something very exciting that I want to tell you guys. Basically, I decided that I'm going to be posting a video on YouTube every day for the first week of October, and I'm going to call it Booktober. It's kind of like my own version of Bookmas or Vlogmas. I'll be posting a cozy book video every day for the first week of October. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'll be posting some reading vlogs, some recommendation videos, all that good stuff. The first video will be up on Monday, October 1st. With that mini little announcement out of the way, let's get into all the books that I read last month. Or well, it's actually still September, so this month. All right, this month I read 12 books. 4 were romance, 1 was mystery, 3 were fantasy, 1 was nonfiction, and 3 were fiction, like general fiction, I guess. And 3 of them contained the word demure. It was so funny because the first book that I read that had the word demure in it, it like stuck out in my brain because of the TikTok trend, obviously. And then I read another book that had the word in it and I was like, that's funny. And then I read a third book that had the word demure in it. And I don't know if just like demure is a favorite word amongst authors or if it's just like sticking out to me because of that recent TikTok trend or what, but 3 books. The first book that I read this month was Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake, and this book was actually in my little Kindle Unlimited reading vlog that I posted if you want some more in-depth thoughts about it. But it is about a man who is a math professor and a girl who works at an art museum. They end up crossing paths and their story kind of unfolds. Both a bit different, a bit misunderstood by the people in their lives, but they really make it a point to understand each other, which is a beautiful aspect of this book. It also had a bit of a heartbreaking element to it, but overall I really enjoyed it and gave it a 4 stars. The next book that I read was also in that Kindle Unlimited reading vlog. It was Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This is one of those book talk books that I've had the physical copy of. It's been on my TBR for literally so long, and I don't know why I never got around to it sooner because I actually really ended up liking it. I think maybe I didn't think I would love it because it's become so popular on Book Talk, but I was mistaken because I really enjoyed it. It's about Henry, who is the Prince of Wales, and Alex, who is the son of the President of the United States. And they have a bit of a rivalry going on. They really don't like each other. They've crossed paths at a couple of events here and there. But in order to make their countries look good, they have to play nice because they accidentally caused a big bad scene at a royal wedding, and that's making everybody look bad. So yeah, they have to pretend to be friends, and slowly they come to find out that maybe they don't hate each other after all. Anyways, I also gave this one 4 stars. All right, the next book that I finished also happens to be on Kindle Unlimited, and I really recommend reading it if you have Kindle Unlimited because it was so good. It's the second book in the Chestnut Springs series, Heartless by Elsie Silver. I think this is my favorite Elsie Silver book I've read so far. I read another one of hers this month that we'll get to, but I liked this way better than the first one in the series. I don't remember what the first one in the series was, to be honest. Was it Flawless? I don't remember. I get the names of this frickin' series mixed up every single time I think about it. But all I know is that Heartless is my favorite so far, and I can't wait to finish the rest of the series. I feel like I've only just dipped my toes in the world of Elsie Silver, and this book really made me realize why people stan Elsie, why people love her book so much. Basically, it's just another one of your good old small town romances. The character is named Cade, and he is a single dad of the sweetest little boy named Luke, and he is looking for a nanny for Luke for the summer. That's when Willa enters. Willa is like a friend of a friend. She's feeling a little bit lost in life currently, but she really finds herself and kind of finds her purpose in Chestnut Springs. I love this book. I think I gave it a 4.5, but like low-key 4.75. It's not a 5, but it's like 4.5, 4.75. The next book that I read is Upside Down, and it is The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. I have had the physical copy of this book for so long. A little while ago, actually maybe like 2 years ago, I read The Guest List by Lucy Foley and really enjoyed that book. So once I finished it, I got this one thinking I would read it next. But then a lot of people in my life told me that they didn't really like this book, didn't like it nearly as much as The Guest List. And so that obviously put me off, and I didn't read it for a couple of years. But I recently got the Libby app and put some holds on a few audiobooks, and this was the first one that became available. So I decided to listen to it. I really like listening to like mysteries, thrillers, those kind of audiobooks. So I mean, if you're gonna read this book, I'd recommend the audio if you're into that. But to be honest, it was pretty forgettable, and like I'd kind of agree with the people who told me they liked The Guest List much better than they liked this one. In my notes, I wrote that I liked some of the surprise elements and I liked the ending, and I'm glad that I finished it. Now that I'm thinking about it, what even was the ending? I did like the ending. I feel like towards the end you thought one thing was gonna happen and then it was like, boom, surprise, just kidding, that's not gonna happen. And that's always fun in a mystery, keep you on your toes. I gave it 3 stars. Yeah, we'll keep that rating. All right, and then I listened to another audiobook on Libby. Very much in my Libby era, really enjoying it, but I don't have the physical copy of that book. It is called The Daydreams by Laura Hankin. I read this book because my friend's been telling me to read it for a really long time. It's one of her favorite books, so I'm glad I finally got around to it so I can tell her that I read it. The dual timeline story, basically it is telling the current day story of these child actors and actresses who are coming together to do a reunion of their TV show that was wildly popular back in the day, and you get flashbacks of the time that they were on the show, and then you go back to present time, which is when they're all grown up and getting ready for this reunion. It honestly really gives like Daisy Jones and the Six vibes in the sense that it feels kind of like a documentary, which is cool. I liked that aspect of it. Overall, it was really interesting. It kind of reminded me of like all the things that come out about how child stars were mistreated when they were on television. It also kind of made me think about like the big Friends reunion that happened, and it kind of made me wonder like what was going on behind the scenes there, because like in the book when they're getting ready for this reunion, whenever the cameras come out, they act like they're all still best friends when in reality they like haven't seen each other for 15 years or however long it's been. But yeah, it had a very sweet ending. It was a very cute book. Nothing like crazy or super amazing to me though, so I gave it 3 stars as well. All right, then this happened. A couple books in the Throne of Glass series, Crown of Midnight and Heir of Fire. These were the 3rd and the 4th books for me because I read Assassin's Blade first. I am very, very, very obsessed with this series. I gave Crown of Midnight 4.5 stars and Heir of Fire 5 stars. I loved this book. The last line of this book, jaw on the floor, about to shed a tear. I'm obsessed. What can I say? What can I say other than both of these ended amazingly? I love where the story's going. We get a new character introduced in this book, a new point of view. So that's really fun. I really like her point of view. And I can't wait to start Crown of Midnight and read the rest of the series. I know it's like probably gonna break me, but sometimes that's why we read. All right, and then I read a new release, Elsie Silver's newest release, Wild Eyes. This is the 2nd book in her Rose Hill series. So separate series from Chestnut Springs, but it still takes place in the same universe. Like there's some character cameos / siblings crossover. I don't know, it's in the same universe, you get the vibes. Anyways, this one follows Skylar Stone, who is a pop star, and she comes to Rose Hill to go to Ford Grant's recording studio, who we read all about in the 1st book of this series, and to escape from her like crazy life in the spotlight. And while she is in Rose Hill, she meets West. West is a single dad of 2 kids. I think this whole series is gonna be single dad trope, which is funny because I just read Heartless, which was also a single dad trope. I really liked both their characters. 2 kids in this were really sweet, but like some of the things they would say, I was like, is a child of that age really that cognizant? I don't know. But yeah, I was really enjoying this book, but I will say I saw that 3rd act conflict coming from a mile away, so it kind of annoyed me when it happened. Luckily it didn't last for too long, but that definitely like bumped it down a little bit for me. I wrote, I love a big, genuine, romantic gesture that is personal and will mean a lot to the person receiving it. Loved the ending. So there's that. Oh, what did I rate this one? I feel like I rated it 4 stars. Is that what I rated it? Stars. I gave it a lot of 4 stars this month. It was a really good reading month. The next book I read was Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. And I read this book because my mom read it a couple months ago and really liked it, so I felt like I'd read it too because my mom has great taste. This book follows Eleanor, who, how do I even describe her? She honestly really gives me Emily Wilde vibes, just in the sense that she is clearly very intelligent. She's just a little bit different and handles social situations a little bit differently than the majority of people probably would. And at times this was honestly pretty hard to read because you're getting Eleanor's perspective, so obviously you're very much empathizing with her, but you can notice that the way she is acting outwardly is a bit bizarre, but since you've been empathizing with her, you don't want anyone to treat her poorly, and she is often not very well received by the people around her. She also grew up with a lot of abuse, so I recommend reading some trigger warnings before going into this book. There's also a twist at the end that I did not see coming. I looked at Goodreads reviews after I read it, and like a lot of people did see it coming, so I don't know if I'm in the minority, but I liked the twist at the end because it gives you some resolution and kind of makes you feel like everything's gonna be okay, but then it also kind of makes you feel like, yikes, things were worse than we ever could have imagined. A really unique story. I feel like this is one that I will not forget because I've never read anything quite like it before, and I really liked it. I wasn't a 5-star for me just because, to be honest, it made me pretty sad. I just hated seeing anybody be mean to Eleanor, and I hated the way just like the world treated her. So I ended up giving it 4 stars. The next book that I read, I also do not have a physical copy of because I listened to the audio on Libby once again, my favorite app. That book was Talking as Fast as I Can by Lauren Graham. If you don't know who Lauren Graham is, she plays Lorelai Gilmore in Gilmore Girls. And I listened to this book because it was available to listen to right away on Libby, so I figured I might as well listen to it. I've also been watching a lot of Gilmore Girls lately because I've really been embracing the fall vibes. So I was just in the mood to listen to her voice. I do really recommend listening to this if you are a Gilmore Girls fan. If you're not a Gilmore Girls fan, this book/audiobook probably isn't for you. If you're gonna read it, really recommend listening to the audio because it is read by Lauren Graham, the author, and it really just feels like you're listening to Lorelai ramble on, which I found really fun. She basically wrote this book, I think, right after the Gilmore Girls reunion. So she was looking back on all the seasons of Gilmore Girls and telling you what's going on behind the scenes, telling you her thoughts about every one of the seasons, and like how she geared up for the reunion, how the reunion went, all that stuff. As a Gilmore Girls fan, I found this really fun to listen to. It's also super short. I listen on 2 times speed, so I think this audiobook was only like 2.5, 3 hours. Pretty short, easy listen. Definitely recommend if you love Gilmore Girls. Okay, next I read Foxglove by Adeline Grace, which is going to be in a reading vlog very soon, where I continue a series that I'm in the middle of. This is the 2nd book in the Belladonna trilogy. That vlog, I'll obviously have more of my thoughts. I didn't love it as much as I thought I was going to, so honestly I'm probably gonna like land on a 3. I think this is probably gonna be my least favorite in the trilogy, but I'm very hopeful for the 3rd book, the final book. I think I'm gonna like that one the best, based off of how this one ended. And the very last book that we have here is Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. I actually haven't finished it yet. As I'm filming this, it's September 24th, so this book just came out, and I'm actually filming a whole vlog where I go to Barnes, go book shopping, get this book, read it, and that video is going to be a part of my little Booktober. It'll be coming out in like a week, so stay tuned for that for all my thoughts on this book. I've only read a few chapters, but I am loving it so far, and I know I'm going to finish it before September is up. When I bought it at Barnes this morning, the girl at the cashier told me that she got an arc of it, and she loved it, but it might make me cry, so we'll see if that happens. It probably will. All right, those are the 12 books that I've read / am still reading in September. Really good reading month overall. I have 1 5-star, but I had a lot of books that got close to 5-star, a lot of books in the 4 range. I'm very satisfied with that. If you guys enjoyed this video, please subscribe so that you can stay tuned for all my Booktober videos that are coming out next week. Hopefully I'll see you then. Bye. Thanks for watching.